For decades, the West represented something powerful to millions of Africans. It was the promise of opportunity, the promise of stability, the promise that if you worked hard enough, you could build a better life. And for many people, that promise was real. But today, something is quietly changing. Across Europe, North America, and other Western nations, more people from the African diaspora are beginning to ask a question that once felt unthinkable. Is this still the best place to build a future? This isn't a story about anger, it isn't about rejection, and it isn't about nostalgia, it's about reassessment. For a long time, the West offered a clear equation. Work hard, follow the rules, and stability would follow. But for many diaspora families today, that equation no longer balances. The cost of living has risen sharply. Rent, healthcare, transportation, childcare. At the same time, wages have struggled to keep up. People are working longer hours, yet feeling less secure. Saving for the future feels harder. Owning a home feels distant. Even basic comfort now requires constant effort. For many, this isn't about personal failure, it's about economics. When the gap between effort and reward keeps widening, people naturally begin to reconsider their options. Beyond economics, there is another layer, one that is harder to measure. Belonging. Many members of the African diaspora have lived most of their lives in Western countries. They hold citizenship, they contribute to society, they raise families. Yet still, many describe a quiet sense of being permanently foreign. It shows up in subtle ways. Being asked, "Where are you really from?" Feeling the need to constantly explain your identity, watching your children navigate questions of belonging at a young age. This ongoing emotional negotiation can become exhausting. It's not always hostility. Often, it's simply distance. But over time, that distance matters. People begin to ask themselves, where do I feel fully seen? Where do I feel rooted? Then came a major shift that changed the global equation. Remote work. For the first time in modern history, millions of professionals realized that income no longer had to be tied to location. A job based in London, New York, or Toronto could now be done from anywhere with stable internet. This realization opened a door. Many in the African diaspora began to compare cost of living, quality of life, time with family, and mental and emotional well-being. Suddenly, staying in the West was no longer the default option. It was simply one option among many. And once choice enters the picture, everything changes. For a long time, Africa was rarely presented as a viable place to return to, as only a place to visit. But, Africa itself has been changing. Major cities have grown, infrastructure has expanded, private healthcare and education options have increased. Entrepreneurial ecosystems are developing. For many in the diaspora, Africa is no longer an abstract idea, it's familiar. They've visited, they have family there, they've watched cities evolve through social media and digital connections. This doesn't mean Africa is without challenges, far from it. But what has changed is perception. Africa is no longer seen only as a place of limitation, but as a place of possibility. Still, leaving the West does not mean escaping difficulty. Return comes with its own realities. There is bureaucracy, there are infrastructure gaps, there can be cultural friction, even among people returning home. Many returnees speak about the need to relearn patience, to adapt, to rebuild networks from scratch. This journey isn't romantic and, it isn't instant. But for many, the challenges feel worth facing, and because they are faced in an environment where identity feels less questioned and belonging feels more natural. What's important to understand is this: the diaspora is not running away from the West. They are choosing environments aligned with their values, choosing proximity to family, choosing time over constant pressure, choosing dignity and agency. This is not a rejection of Western countries. It is a recognition that opportunity is no longer concentrated in one place. The world is quietly rebalancing. Leaving the West doesn't mean rejecting it. It means acknowledging that the global map of opportunity has changed. And for the African diaspora, something historic is happening. For the first time in generations, choice has returned.